Welcome back, students. Today we are going to discuss Unit 4 Organism and Environment topic Environmental issue. Okay. Before I start the main content, I would like to inform that the images used in our slides are for education purpose only. We respect intellectual property right of the original creator and owner of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this PPT, have any concern, any issue, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about these points: air pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, what is eutrophication, biomagnification, and some case studies also we will discuss. So let's understand the term pollution first. What is pollution? Pollution is any undesirable change in physical, chemical, or biological characteristic of air, land, water, or soil. Okay. So what is pollution? It is any undesirable change in physical, chemical, biological characteristic of air, land, water, and soil. Okay. Agents that bring about such a undesirable change are called pollutants. All those things which are mainly responsible for these undesirable change of our environment are what is the right term for that? Pollutants. Okay. So in order to control environmental pollution, the government of India passed the Environmental Protection Act in 1986. So let's discuss the causes of air pollution. Okay. Because of the air pollution, it can our crop production, our yield of various crop, various fruits, and various type of plants has been reduced significantly. Okay, this air pollution also gives us a very harmful effect, or we can say deleterious effect on our respiratory system, not for human but also for the animals. Okay, the harmful effect depends upon the concentration of pollutants, duration of exposure, and the organism. Duration of exposure and the organism. Okay, like there are certain things like a smokestack of thermal power plant. This is the main cause of air pollution. Smelters and other industries which are mainly responsible to generate various gaseous pollutants. Okay, so according to CPCB, means Central Pollution Control Board, particulate size 2.5 micrometer or less than 2.5, means PM value 2.5, are responsible for causing greater harm to human health. So this size is very, very important. Sometimes question asks based on the size of the particulate matter. Okay, 2.5 micron or less than this are mainly responsible for greatest harm to human health. Harmful effect of air pollution. Breathing difficulty. First of all, breathing difficulty and respiratory symptoms, some kind of irritation, also some people feel irritation, inflammation, and damage to the lung tissue, and premature death in the case of children. Okay, and if we are discussing about the plant, because of the air pollution, it can reduce the growth pattern, yield type, and also cause premature death of the plant too. Now let's discuss the control, how we can control the air pollution. Okay, so pollutants must be separated out or filtered out before release the atmosphere. Okay, pollutants, some industries are mainly responsible to generate the pollutant. Okay, so pollutant must be separated out or filtered out before release the atmosphere. Okay, and for the automobiles, proper maintenance of automobiles is needed. Okay, with the use of lead-free petrol or diesel using catalytic converter. Using catalytic converter. Phasing out of old vehicle and use of CNG vehicle. Okay, for vehicle, just phasing out old vehicle, use of CNG vehicle must be promoted. Okay, for use of lead free petrol or diesel is must be recommended. Okay, and the pollutant particles must be separate out or filtered out before release the environment. So these are the certain things. If all the people and government and all the authorities should look on these points, one can control the air pollution in a given area. Now let's understand the term catalytic converter. What is catalytic converter? It is a highly expensive metals, mainly platinum and palladium. Platinum, palladium and rhodium. These metals act as a catalyst. These are fitted into the automobiles for reducing emission of poisonous gases. Okay, so the exhaust pass through these catalytic converter. First, unburned hydrocarbon are converted into that time when the exhaust pass through these catalytic metals, catalytic converter, that unburned hydrocarbon very quickly convert into the carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so unburned hydrocarbon convert into carbon dioxide and water in the presence of this catalytic converter. Okay, so very quickly when this unburned hydrocarbon pass through this catalytic converter, these convert very quickly this unburned hydrocarbon into carbon dioxide, water, some amount of carbon monoxide, nitric oxide. Okay, carbon monoxide and nitric oxide are changed to carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Means unburned hydrocarbon will convert into carbon dioxide and water, and this carbon monoxide and nitric oxide will convert into carbon dioxide and nitrogen when these gases pass through this catalytic converter. So this is the role of catalytic converter. These are highly expensive metals which are placed in the automobiles to reducing the emission of poisonous gases. What are those metals? Platinum, palladium and rhodium. Clear? Okay. Now next. Now use of CNG vehicle also one of the reason we have to promote that. Why? Because there are certain advantages of CNG. CNG burns more efficiently, and if it burn very efficiently, then it will little left unburnt hydrocarbon. So this is the first benefit. Secondly, this CNG is very cheaper as compared to petrol or diesel. Thirdly, no one can siphon off this CNG. This is the third advantage. And the lastly, CNG cannot be altered just like petrol or diesel. Sometimes people mix kerosene oil in petrol or diesel, so mixing it up, okay, which create more pollution. So this is the very good advantage of CNG, that it cannot be altered. Clear? So these are the advantages of CNG, use of CNG. Next is electrostatic precipitator. What is this electrostatic precipitator? It is a device to remove particulate matter, particles. Okay, so it is a device to remove particulate matter. It can remove over 99% of particulate matter present in the exhausted from a thermal power plant. From a thermal power plant. Okay. So this electrostatic precipitator has electrode wires which maintain at several thousand volt of current in it. Okay. And these electrode attach to the dust particle, giving them a net negative charge. Okay, when these dust particle getting charged, negative charge, when it pass from one area to another area, the collected plate which are present on the ground attract the charged dust particle. Okay, so they just settle down before releasing to the environment, main air. Okay, at that time, velocity of air between the plate must be low enough to allow dust to fall down. As you can see in this particular picture, this is the dirty air. When it come inside this electrostatic precipitator, this dirty air get charged, means dust particle get charged because of the presence of that current. Okay, when these charged particles again go through these electrostatic precipitator, very quickly dust particle get settled down on the bottom and clean air get out from the this electrostatic precipitator. So this is how this electrostatic precipitator remove over 99% of particulate matter. Next device is known as scrubber. Okay, this scrubber can remove some gases like sulfur dioxide. Okay, in this scrubber, the exhaust is passed through a spray of water or lime water. As you can see in this picture, dirty air comes inside the device from this area. When it passes through this area and go towards upside, on this particular level, a kind of water shower or lime spray is spreaded on this dirty air. So what will happen? Very small particle size of dust particle can settle down because of this water spray or lime spray. But with this method, very small particle are not removed. Okay, comparatively bigger particle we can remove. Okay, now let's discuss some points related to noise pollution. Noise, what is noise? It is a undesirable high level of sound. What is noise? Undesirable high level of sound. Okay, in India, the air was amended in 1987 to include noise as a air pollution. So you just remember this thing that noise pollution comes under air pollution category. Okay, air pollution category. So what are the sources of noise pollution? As you can see in this particular picture, there are so many sources like loudspeaker, generator set, automobiles, construction, machinery sites, and firecrackers, aircrafts. These are the some example which very frequently create noise pollution. Now let's discuss some harmful effect of noise. Noise can cause psychological and physiological disorder to human. Okay, high sound level means 150 decibel or more may damage your eardrum. And this is a kind of sound level which is generated by the jet, plane or rocket. And this much high sound level may damage someone's eardrum too. Okay, chronic exposure of sound pollution. Okay, and chronic exposure to relatively low noise level of cities may permanently damage hearing ability of human. If continuously some kind of chronic exposure of relatively low noise comes your nearby area, then it may permanently create some kind of hearing ability problem. Okay, so apart from this, noise can also cause sleeplessness. It will also increase heart rate. Okay, alter our breathing pattern. So thus overall one can consider it as a stressing situation for the human. Okay, so now question arises how we can control noise pollution. Okay, So to control the noise pollution, one can use sound absorbent material by muffling soil. Sound absorbent material, which were very frequently used inside the studios. Okay. And secondly, delimitation of horn free zone around hospitals, around schools. So this must be comes under second heading. Thirdly, permissible sound level of cracker and loudspeaker. There must be a restriction for the loudspeaker sound level in the areas, and permissible limit only allowed for crackers. Delimit the limitation or end the timing of loudspeaker too. This is the last point one can do to control the sound pollution. Now let's discuss some laws and policies in India to control vehicular pollution. Okay, so for this, one first of all, to reduce sulfur content to 50 ppm in petrol and diesel to bring out the level 35%. Okay, one upgrade vehicle engine, control of sulfur content at 350 ppm means part per million in diesel and 150 part per million in petrol. So control of this sulfur content. Third, level of aromatic hydrocarbon are to be at 42 degree of the fuel. Aromatic hydrocarbon. Okay. And reduce sulfur to 50 ppm in petrol and diesel to bring the level 35 degree. Now this table tells us the certain norms which is already implemented in our big cities for two tire vehicle, three tire vehicle, and four wheeler cars and other equipments, other vehicles. Okay, so these norms has been implemented in April 2017. Okay, and for that the Delhi government effort must be appreciable, who actually significantly reduce the amount of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide once present in the Delhi during 1997 to 2005 by implement the strict rule for air pollution and noise pollution, and a strict rule for the vehicles too. Okay. Now, so this is all about the air pollution. Okay, now let's discuss some points related to water pollution. So water pollution means polluting water bodies. It may be river, pond, lake, ocean. Okay, so human being actually has been abusing since long time the all the water body throughout the world by disposing all the kind of waste into it. Okay, so government of India has passed the Water Act in 1974 to safeguard our water resource through Prevention and Control of Control of Pollution Act. Okay, so you will be surprised to know if 0.1% impurity is there in the water. This 0.1% impurity, whether in the form of sand or clay, whether in the form of fecal material, bacteria, cloth, fibers, or in the dissolved nutrient form, nitrate, ammonia, phosphorus, or calcium, it will make that 99.9% pure water into impure water category. Okay, only because of the presence of this 0.1% impurity, whether any type of form, suspended solid particle form or colloidal, because of the presence of colloidal material or dissolved material. If these things are present only 0.1% level, it will make our domestic uses water 100% unfit for human being. Okay, so already we have discussed this sewage treatment plant previously. So in that time also I told you that we can remove the solid particle comparatively easy. Okay, with the grid method, with the filter method. But what is the most difficult part? To remove the dissolved salt from the water. The dissolved salt may be present in the water in the as nitrite, as phosphates, or as a toxic metalline form or organic material form. Okay, so domestic sewage actually primarily this domestic sewage primarily contain biodegradable organic material while readily decomposed by bacteria and other microorganisms. These are also present in the different water bodies. So you can very much amazed to know that some microorganisms, if certain kind of organic material is present in our water body, then obviously some microorganisms must be involved for the biodegradation of that organic matter. And for the biodegradation of that organic matter, these microorganisms also require oxygen. Okay, they also require oxygen, and as a result there is a sharp decline in dissolved oxygen. Sharp decline in dissolved oxygen, as you can see over here, because at this particular time this oxygen is utilized by the microorganisms, whether fungus, whether algae, whether bacteria, whatever it is. They utilize that oxygen. Why? To degrade that particular organic component which are present in the water body. Okay, so it there you can see a sharp decline in the dissolved oxygen downstream from the point of sewage discharge, at the point from where sewage get discharged, at this point. Okay, and this cause a mortality of fish and other aquatic creatures too. Why? Because most of the oxygen is already utilized by the microbe. No oxygen is left for other other organisms or other animals which are present in the water bodies like fish. Okay, so that's why this sharp decline of dissolved oxygen at the entry site of this sewage decline the number of fishes present at that particular area, which will after some time, when this direction of flow of river occur, it will then again after some time reposition itself at its original level. Okay, and just opposite to this, initially very long this BOD, biological oxygen demand, is high. Why? Because so many organic components are there, so demand must be high at the initial point, and this demand get slowly get down when we move from sewage discharge location to uh, away from the sewage discharge location or direction of flow of the river. Okay, so this kind of graph. You must understand what is the relationship between concentration and direction of flow at the point of sewage discharge point. Dissolved oxygen get sharply declined at the sewage discharge point, and it will go up when we move from discharge side to direction of water flow side. Okay, and just opposite for the biological oxygen demand. Now, as you know, in certain area of river and pond, there are presence of large amount of algae, or we can say algal blooms are there. What is this algal bloom? These are the excessive growth of free floating algae at certain location of the river. Why? Because of the presence of large amount of nutrients which are present in the water. Okay, so if too much nutrients as a carbon or as a nitrogen source are present in the water, as an organic component present in the water, very quickly algae will grow there, and because of the quick growth of algae, the color of water has been changed, and you can see the color. You can see over here, this color looks like greenish in color, dark green in color. Okay, so with this growth, algal bloom growth, a distinct color to the water bodies. And because of the overgrowth of algae in certain area, it will again cause the fish mortality, because maximum dissolved oxygen is utilized by algae. So no oxygen is left for fish and other creatures. Okay, and that's why, so it also very quickly deteriorate the quality of water at that particular site. Okay, sometimes these algal bloom are extremely toxic to human and animals too. Okay, another example is hyacinth, water hyacinth. You may have seen a beautiful mauve color flower, found a very appealing shaped flowering plant in water bodies. As you can see, this is a picture of water hyacinth. Okay, this plant was introduced in the India for its lovely flower, but they because of their excessive growth, very quickly they can grow, they can cause block in our waterway. So these water hyacinth create a very much disturbance and trouble for our water bodies. Why? You can. This is the flower of this water hyacinth. As this water hyacinth grow very faster than our ability to remove them. These are plants of water hyacinth, or the botanical name is Eichhornia crassips. Okay, this is the word most problematic aquatic weed, which we can use a term. This term terror of Bengal is used in your NCERT book. As they grow abundantly in eutrophic water bodies and lead to an imbalance in the ecosystem dynamics of the water body. Now, sewage, water for water pollution. Some other sources are also there, like sewage from our home, hospital waste, which contains several kind of pathogens like dysentery, typhoid, jaundice, cholera. Okay, these are another source of wastewater, which will create pollution to the water. Some industrial waste like petroleum, paper industry. Okay, these contain toxic material, heavy material. Okay, with material more than 5 gram per centimeter cube, such as mercury, cadmium, copper, and a variety of organic components. These are another source of waste which will create water pollution. Now, there is another term used in this environmental issue is biomagnification. What is this biomagnification? Biomagnification is the accumulation of toxicant at successive trophic level. Accumulation of toxicant at successive trophic level. This happens because a toxic substance accumulated by an organism cannot be metabolized or excreted, and it thus pass from one level to another level. Okay, pass to the next higher trophic level. Example, mercury and DDT. First example, mercury, second is DDT. What is biomagnification? Biomagnification is the accumulation of a toxicant at every successive trophic level. Now let's understand this with this diagram. The concentration of DDT is present 0.003 ppb, part per billion level in the water. Okay, when some zooplankton use this water, then this DDT can pass into their body and the concentration will increase from 0.003 ppb to 0.04 part per million. Further, this zooplankton is utilized by or eaten up by small fish and then large fish and from large fish to, fish eating bird. Then at each successive level, you can see the concentration of DDT will get increased because this DDT is not utilized by the animal, neither it will secreted by the animal. So it will accumulate at each trophic level. So 0.04 to 0.5, 0.5 to 2 ppb and 2 ppb to 25 part per million. Okay, so the concentration of DDT is increased at each successive trophic level. Okay, and so what is the harm? What is the harm? होने दो इसको. But there is a harm because of the high concentration of DDT. It will disturb the calcium metabolism in birds, okay, which will cause thinning of eggshell and their premature breakaging. If eggshell is thin, then premature breakaging can occur and eventually cause decline in bird population. So it will also cause a significant effect on our ecosystem. Okay. Now, next term is eutrophication. Eutrophication means natural aging of a lake. Natural aging of a lake is known as eutrophication. How and why? Because of the nutrient enrichment, nutrient accumulation in the water. Okay, as in the young lake, the water is cold and clear, supporting little life. With the passage of time, streams draining into the lake, introducing nutrients also, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, which actually encourage the growth of aquatic organisms. Okay, but as the lake fertility increase with the passage of time, slowly, as the lake fertility increase, organic remains begin start deposit into the sedimentary part or bottom part of the lake, as you can see in this particular picture. Slowly. Then lake grow shallower and warmer. Slowly, all the deposits get settled down on the bottom of the lake, right? So slowly, what will happen? This lake grows shallower and warmer with warm water animals, warm water organisms. Marsh plant take root into these are the marsh plants, take root into the shallow water, begin to fill the original lake basin, and eventually this lake become converted into the land, and this is known as eutrophication. Okay, so depending on the climate, size of the lake and other factors, the natural aging of the lake takes thousands of years time. However, because of the human interference, because of the human activities which will generate different kind of pollutants in the form of effluent and industrial waste and home waste, which very quickly drain out in a particular lake, this human interference actually accelerate the aging process of this lake. And this aging process, when it will increase its progress, or it will increase its a conversion from um, pure lake to conversion from lake to land form. This phenomena is called accelerated eutrophication or cultural eutrophication, when man's activity is involved with it. Okay, when because of the pollutant generated by the man, like in the form of effluent, in the form of industrial waste or home waste, it will radically accelerate the aging process. And this phenomena, that time we can use the term cultural eutrophication or accelerated eutrophication for the same. So the prime concern, what is the prime concern for this eutrophication is the nitrites and phosphates, which act as a plant nutrients, which continuously come from various streams. Okay, as the concentration of nitrite and phosphorates increase in the water body, it will increase the growth of the various algae and other um, um, bacteria, fungus, and other these type of organisms, which will cause some unpleasant odor of that particular lake, lowering of the water. It will reduce the dissolved oxygen content, which dissolved oxygen is actually vital for the other aquatic life which are present in the that particular lake. So ultimately, that of lake occur. What is the main reason? What is the prime contaminants for this eutrophication? First is nitrates, second is phosphates. Okay. Now, third type of waste is thermal wastewater. Okay, this heated wastewater or thermal wastewater flowing out of electricity generated unit like thermal power plant. Okay, it will constitute another important category of pollutants. Thermal water plants eliminate or reduce the number of organisms sensitive to high temperature and may enhance growth of plant and fish in extremely cold area, but only after causing damage to indigenous flora and fauna. Okay, as this thermal water plant eliminate and reduce the number of organisms which are sensitive to high temperature, okay, may enhance growth of plant and fish in extremely cold area, but only after causing the damage of indigenous flora and fauna. Now, let's discuss some case study. Case study for integrated wastewater management. This case study is based on the cleaning project of Arcata. Okay, and this cleaning project of Arcata include artificial and natural processes, which is an example of such an initiative in the town of Arcata. This Arcata town is situated in the northern coast of California. Some biologists belong to Humboldt State University, collaborate with the local people of this Arcata area and create a integrated wastewater treatment plant with the natural system. And this cleaning process occur in two different stages. First one is the conventional sedimentation of the particles, filtering of the particles, big particles, and chlorine treatment. This is the conventional method. Conventional sedimentation, filtering, and chlorine treatment. Okay. But after this stage, lots of dangerous pollutants like which are present in the dissolved form in the water, like dissolved heavy metals and some other components which are present in the dissolved form that must be removed. Okay, so first of all, big particle has been removed with the conventional method sedimentation. Then, for the removal of other dissolved metals, dissolved organic component, and other things, biologists develop a series of 6 connected marsh area over 60 hectare marshland. Okay, so for this, if this is a big area, they just convert it into various fractions like this. Okay, and then pass that water from each area. Okay, from here to there, first area to second area, successively into the next one. And in each area, they grow some kind of organism. Like in first area, they will grow some kind of plant species. They have grown in another area. They have grown some kind of algae, followed by fungus, some bacteria. So they have seeded these some kind of organism in each area, which actually neutralize, absorb, and assimilate the pollutants successively as the water flow move from one area to another area like this. And slowly As each organism utilize some part, then slowly this water get purified naturally. Okay. Now, so this marshy area also constitute a sanctuary. This marshy area also constitute a sanctuary in which high level of biodiversity is present in the form of fishes, in the form of animals and birds that are now resides there. A citizen group of that area are called FOAM, Friends of Arcata Marsh. They are actually responsible for the upkeep and safeguarding of this wonderful project, which is developed by the collaboration between university people and the local people. Okay. Now, ecological sanitation. What is sanitation? Sustainable system for handling human excreta using dry composting toilet. Okay, this is a practical, hygienic, efficient and cost-effective solution to human waste disposal. With this composting method, human excreta can be recycled into a resource like natural fertilizer, which reduce the need for chemical fertilizer. Okay, and this ecological sanitation are working as a eco-san toilets in many areas of India, mainly in Kerala and in Sri Lanka too. Okay, so this is all about the part 1 of environmental issue related topics. I hope most of the things has been cleared now. If you have any query discussed which we are discussed today's topic, any query related to today's topic, please let me know. We will discuss it later on. Till then, take care, bye bye, and keep learning. Namaskar.